How can inflation affect the commercial real estate industry for investors is his first question.
So as everybody knows, the inflation now, the numbers are 5 point some percent for the year. That's what's expected, which is 5.4. So everything supposedly on average is going up by 5%. Inflation is when things cost you more. So you need more dollars. You used to have $100 to buy X. Now you're going to need $105 to buy that same thing, which is a year later. You can actually Google it and it shows cost of construction. Everything has gone up from 10 to 40%. So a home that used to cost you, let's say, $1 million to build, now it's going to cost you $1,250,000. And if you live in a home worth $1 million, it's probably going to go up 5% per year if this continues. Now, we don't think the inflation is going to continue. According to the Feds, they said, well, as workers come back to work, as the ports open up and material and goods and all this start getting delivered, the inflation should get back to the 3%, 2.5%. That's what they're saying. They're always trying to put good news on inflation. But how does it affect commercial real estate is the question. Well, real estate in general is really good if you're the owner and there is inflation for many reasons, because you bought a building for $1 million to buy something similar a year later or 2 years later or 3 years later. The cost of replacements, called replacement cost, will cost you 1.1 million or 1,150,000 because it costs so much more to build the same building. So it's good to own the building. Now, if it's a commercial building, like my situation, I have a lot of commercial buildings. The beauty is I'm going to do fine because what's going to end up happening is I'm going to increase the rent. So now I've been praying for inflation for many years. Inflation was very low. And then God listened to my prayers. Sorry to tell you. By the way, this is not a halo on top of me. This is just a light on top of the... So my point is, I can increase rent. I have renters paying $5,000 when the lease will renew. They're not going to go up 3%. They're not going to go up to 5,150. They're going to go up to 5,500. And if they don't like it, they're going to go across the street. Everybody's charging more because there's inflation. So I can charge more. And they're going to have to actually increase the cost of goods they sell, whatever souvenirs, their jewelry, whatever, so they can also meet expenses. So who gets really messed up? The consumer, people on salaries, people that live on savings, people who live on fixed income. It gets a little bit more difficult. So the good news also, if you're in real estate, commercial, is not only you can increase rent, but if you borrowed, and if you're in residential, if you borrowed money, let's say you borrowed $500,000. Well, that 500,000 purchase power decreases over time. So it's like borrowing 500, but over time you're returning it at 480 value, at 450 value. So you're not only decrease the debt in amount, but it decreases over a period of time based on the actual inflation. The purchase power decreases. So it's a great hedge for inflation. One of the best ways for you to sustain during inflationary period is to have some debt. In 2008, 2009, people were saying, get out of debt, get out of debt. Well, not necessarily. They didn't know what they were doing. This was a time to buy. We did very well in 2008 and 9. We did REOs. We used to buy foreclosed properties, to sell them, carry the financing, and then discount the financing and sell it. And everybody was making money. We knew what to do. For each time, there's a period of time you adjust and make money. And now in commercial real estate, if you can get into a deal where you can lock in financing as long of a period as possible, you're ahead of the game, because even if you lock in the financing at 4% and inflation is at 5%, it's like free money, because the bank is losing. Remember, the bank gets the money from the Fed. So what's the Fed going to do? The Fed is going to increase the interest rates. Because if there is inflation, the Federal Reserve is going to say, now you want to borrow, it's not going to be 4, it's going to be 5. Now it's not going to be 5, it's going to be 5.5. But if you already bought in and you got the building and at 4% and you're increasing the rent, you have cash flow. What's going to happen is those who bought, let's say, apartment buildings, like a lot of real estate funds bought apartment buildings, and with the hope that they're going to get some tenants out, put some tenants in, and then they're going to sell it for more money so that investors make money. Well, they're going to have a little bit of a problem now, because these renters are on salaries, and salaries are not increasing by much. So when there is inflation and now they go buy milk or they go buy, put gas, I put gas at what used to cost me $60 today. I don't usually pay attention to these costs, but it was $84 to put gas. And the maximum I've ever paid that I can remember on this car was $60. So it just really shocked me. So yes, I realize there is inflation. You can see it all over. So those who are renting in apartment buildings are going to revolt when there is increase in rent. And then if that owner of the apartment building is going to try to sell the building and the next buyer is coming in, they can get the same good interest rate that the seller is making the same amount of money. I'm not going to be making the same because I have to pay the bank a higher interest and the renters are leaving. So there will be people that are going to get caught. So what happens if you own a commercial space, a building, and you have, let's say, 4% interest rate, and the interest rate now is at 5%, and the buyers can get the same deals you got. They need to put bigger down payment. They need to do this. You know what you can do? You can exit by doing a wraparound mortgage. You can keep your debt at 4%. You can do a wraparound at 5.5% interest, charge them no points, and the buyers have to pay you 5.5% when you're paying 4%. You can make money on the arbitrage, not just selling the property at a good price, but also make money on the difference of the financing. You're getting 5.5% interest versus paying 4%. Go to calculator.com and put mortgage and calculate, let's say, 30 years at 4% and then 30 years at 5.5%. See the difference of payments on $1 million, and you'll see how much money you can make just being in the business, being in the actual market, having properties. If you're not in the market and you're trying to get into the market and there is inflation, fine. We're locking in buildings that are vacant. You know my favorite strategy, the retail. You put it under contract. You get tenants that want to come in because these tenants keep coming in. They keep growing, these tenant retailers. And you'll be able to actually still make the same strategy work, whether the market is up, sideways, or down. And when you get the tenant want to come in, it increases the value of the property.
Jump into commercial real estate discussion like these people. Apply for CRE Mastermind. Click the link in description.